have favorite poets and you rush to get a new book by them. And then occasionally you'll go back and read favorite poems in older books. But few people have the experience I had last year, a couple of years ago, of when putting this book together, of actually sitting down over a month or two and reading right through everything a poet has written. And one thing that struck me about William's poem, for all of his love of exotic places and cultures, I was struck anew in reading through everything how many of his poems dealt with Pennsylvania, where he was born and grew up, with his family, with the landscapes of the Allegheny River. And you think of him as a poet of Hawaii and of France and elsewhere, but Pennsylvania has a deep hold on you.
Yes, and for many reasons. My parents, both of them, had no parents of their own. My mother was an orphan, and she lost everything over and over again. I mean, everyone whom she was attached to. So that I was actually the first beloved thing that came into her life that she lost her firstborn child. And she began to feel she might be able to keep something in me. So there was a little anxiety about that. But I knew nothing much about her family. And what I found in recent years, little odds and ends, and they've been fascinating. But my father's family, there was more to it, and I knew more of it. And of course, after 7 years away in Europe, I came back and I wanted to find out, Europe, the past is taken for granted. It's part of everyone's consciousness, or was at that time. And in America, the generation of my father, for example, nobody wanted to know about the past. I think this is the classes have got mixed up now. The middle class used to mean not the blue-collar class, but the white-collar class, and but no, not rich or ancient or anything of the kind. And that one of the things about them that I thought was probably typical of the American middle class at that time was their not wanting to know about origins, because the origin probably was humbler than their present situation, and they didn't want anybody to know what it was. And I don't think that's completely gone. I had only one member of my father's family who was interested in the past, Aunt Mary, and I used to go and ask her questions about the whole thing, and she would tell me. And but she kept saying, "Billy, why do you want to know about these things? Because nobody else does." I said, "I want to know about them, Auntie Mary, for the same reason that you do. I find it fascinating. I don't believe it all began yesterday." And of course, when I got to Europe, that was one of the things that fascinated me about Europe, was that the past was taken for granted, and people had a taken for granted attitude about the past. They were interested in it. They weren't obsessed with it, or at least not most of them were. And sometimes they were very proud of it. Sometimes they weren't. But it was part of your life to have this past.